if you put yourself into the shoes of who you are when you're 80, right? Are you proud of everything that you've done? Maybe even like on your deathbed, like what are your final thoughts, right? And ask yourself this question, right? Am I doing the things now that will lead me to feeling like I'm answering that question in a way that I'd be happy with? You have to be able to ask yourself that question because what you don't want to happen is get to that point and then feel like you wasted your life.
Hello, and welcome back to The Baldest, a show about self-acceptance and the people changing the conversation around baldness. Today, I'm joined by Mark Stofanak. Mark is an ultramarathon runner, content creator, and someone who's passionate about helping people become the best version of themselves. What started as a conversation about losing your hair ended up turning into a discussion about self-belief, taking risks, getting out of your comfort zone, and why so many people feel stuck in life. This is one of those conversations that made me think long after we stopped recording, and I hope that it does the same for you. Here's my conversation with Mark Stofanak. One thing that I wanted to bring up to you, I feel like this isn't even the right thing to say to start the episode with, but I don't care, is that, and this is not in my notes, is that ever since I don't want to say met you because I have not met you, but ever since I saw you online, I'm like, I like this Mark guy. He's charming and charismatic.
Dude.
And I don't know. So I don't know what you've done. You've like seduced me. And I'm just like,
Dog.
I cannot wait to meet this Mark guy. I feel like we're friends and this is actually our first time talking, but we've been texting, we've been in the talking phase for like 2 weeks.
I know.
And now it's like, oh no, it's real now. Now Mark's actually going to be my friend once this episode's over if I play my cards right.
Dude, of course, man. Bald Bros for life, man. I mean, that's so funny you mentioned that too. And like, I think it's just the way I try to live my life. Like, I think so many people, like, especially like at work, for example, like I work in like big four consulting. It's like talk to all these super important people sometimes. And everyone's like, you got to be super professional, And like, I think there's a place to mix in just some lighthearted humor and just being yourself. And I try to find like the humanity in everything that I do. There's also like a really good book that I read. It's called The Like Switch. I think it's by Jack Dorsey, maybe. And basically, like the short of it is like he's this guy, and he worked for like I don't know the FBI, the CIA, or something, and he would like interrogate like suspected terrorists and like people that they like were trying to get information out of, and like nobody else could get information out of them. And then they bring in this guy, and then he just like talk to them, be like, "Yeah, man, how's your day going? Oh yeah, I like chocolate ice cream too, or like I like whatever, And they just be a normal person. And then after like a few weeks or a few months, and just kind of hanging out and not being like, "Hey, like I'm here and this is my mission. I need this right now," and like whatever, like just kind of being yourself, building a relationship, and like eventually people warm up to you. And like if you employ some of those strategies, like that he kind of outlines in the book, like which I try to live by now, and like everything that I do, um, you'll make more friends. I mean, you'll see more inviting. Like I was on a call this morning for work, and it was like the Mark show. And it was like, all right, Mark, get through this stuff, and I'm just like kind of making jokes here and there, and I don't know, like I just get people to laugh, and I don't know, I I try to do everything I do with a smile and a sense of humor. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. I read a long time ago How to Win Friends and Influence People by
Oh yeah.
Dale Carnegie. That's a great book. And prior to being a full-time podcast host, I was like a warehouse manager, and for like the past, over a decade. So I'm used to being a boss in a new place. And one thing that I do early on is like nothing. I just sort of wait. And because people are automatically cautious of any new authority. But if you're just like, nah, I'm just here to like help out, do some jokes or whatever, like let's keep things fun around here. Like really selfishly, it's for me because I don't want to live in that stuffy corporate world. But it's like, eventually people, like you said, they warm up to you and they're like, oh, this Mark guy's all right because you don't seem threatening to people. And then when you ask for something, people are like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy's like a reasonable guy. So the things that he's asking are reasonable. So we might as well do them.
Dude, totally. I mean, at the end of the day, right, like everything in life, it comes down to relationships, right? Like nobody cares how cool you are or how you carry yourself. I mean, not how you carry yourself kind of, weighs in a little bit, but like really, I think just focusing on being a good human and like treating other people well and like, something else I try to do and is just walk into every room with a smile, right? And like I am permanently like the guy that's like glass half full. So much so to the point where like people find it annoying after a while. Like there was one time we were hiking in Vermont. I was with my girlfriend's family and like everybody was like not having the best time. It like had just rained and it ended up being like this like straight up vertical. And it was like not what everybody was expecting. And I was like, come on guys, like we're having so much fun. Let's go out. They're like, dude, like how are you always like this? um, so I don't know, man, but yeah, it's also funny. Like one of my favorite things too. Whenever I join like a call at work again, and I don't want to keep talking about work the whole time, but people, I'm always like, how's everybody doing? I'd say good morning to everybody. Some people respond, some people don't, and then, how you doing? And I oftentimes I'll get like, oh, not too bad. I'm just like, better than bad. You get like a small laugh back.
Yeah.
Nobody loves doing work, but like you just find little things like that to spice things up. And over a long period of time, being yourself or like, I mean, like when we were texting, I'm like, yeah, all right, brother, like, come on, dog. I like throw in some emojis. Like, I mean, it just keeps things real. Like we're all people. So,
Yeah, especially because we've been, well, behind the scenes, we've been trying to organize you coming on this podcast, which you are the most demanded guest so far. You know what I mean?
no,
The biggest
oh,
hype
dude.
leading up to the actual recording of the podcast. So, yeah, there's nothing so serious about what we're doing that it's like, yeah, we can't have fun while we're doing it. And maybe that's what I see when I watch your content. And when I first saw you, I was like, no, this guy's just having fun with it. But then you also have some serious message stuff. I don't want to say motivation stuff because that's kind of like that's a sensitive word, right? Because motivation doesn't actually motivate you. But you're more than just goofy guy with a mustache. You're more like, yeah, but there's other things too. There's more like some days aren't good and you need to be more confident with yourself. So, how did you get started with all that?
Wow. I mean, it's an excellent question. I think like, and if I take you like way back, and I'll give you like the quick, which probably will end up turning into a longer like version of my story. I'd like to go back to like growing up, right? And I'll eventually get to the key point of like, how did I get to like mindset and like positivity and like the unique blend of it all together?
Now, give us the
But
whole
like,
journey.
I will. So I grew up in Pennsylvania. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but like, yes, I grew up in Pennsylvania. I was what many people would probably call a big nerd. And that's cool. Nerds are cool, but I spent like a ton of my time growing up playing video games. I was super into Pokemon. Pokemon's still super cool. Haven't been able to play too much recently, just things, work, other priorities, whatever. Loved Smash Bros, Call of Duty, Team Fortress 2, if any real ones know that game. Also played
Yeah.
competitive Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh my God.
Dude, I was like the real deal in middle school, high school, and I did a little bit of playing guitar. But anyway, I was like always a super try hard at everything I did. And like, like especially with Call of Duty, man, like that would come out in middle school. And like I remember like all the kids would be like, dude, how do you already have like a whole day on the game? It just came out like last week. And I'm like, I literally do nothing else other than play video games, which, that's fine. And that's fine. But anyway, I like got to this point where it was like every single year a new Call of Duty comes out. I'm like, I got the Master Prestige, I got all the diamond guns, cool. Like I'm cool. I did it. But then I'm like, oh, new Call of Duty just came out. I've got to do the same thing all over again. Like, what the heck? This kind of annoys me. Like I felt like I basically got to this realization, like maybe when I was 18, that like I was putting all of this time into video games and like something like Pokemon, that's cool. Like you can transfer all your Pokemon and like keep it from like a whole, like you can have like a whole thing over like the period of like a long span of years of like all your Pokemon. That's one way they keep you around. But what I realized is like I was pouring all of this time and energy into something that, in the grand scheme of things, really doesn't matter or will change your life. It's more of something that's for entertainment. And people can be like big esports gamers. kudos. That's actually kind of sick. I'm a little jealous. I was never that good. But what I realized was like I want to switch my efforts to some other avenue, which for me initially became exercise. And I should also add, like, aside from just being quote unquote a big nerd, I also grew up pretty overweight. I played baseball as a kid, but like I was a left bench type of guy. I had really bad asthma. I'd have to run a lap around the baseball field and like I would have an asthma attack, like no joke. So it was just like one of those things where like me and like athletics didn't really line up as a kid. But eventually I got to this point where I was like, I'm tired of putting all my time and energy into this one specific avenue. It's not really rewarding me like I want to in the real world. Um, and I just wanted to feel a little bit healthier and more comfortable in my own skin. So I ended up starting to like walk around my neighborhood. I would run, and basically I got to the point where I eventually lost 40 pounds, which was pretty amazing. And that was something that like I didn't really plan on doing, but it was something that I really needed. And that was probably around the time I was 16. And that gave me like a whole new level of confidence and helped me realize that I actually have power. Like I have the ability to control things about my life. And that was something that like previously I just struggled with. Like I had felt like I have asthma and like, I can't do all these things. Like I was just frustrated. I was definitely in a bit of a pessimistic mindset towards many things in my life at that point as a kid. But luckily I had that kind of realization early on. And once I had lost that weight, decided to start hitting the gym, pumping some iron. I've been lifting weights now for the past 10 years. I'm actually a Gold's Gym DC Metro athlete. There's like a little influencer program thing. So I record some content, post that. That's really cool. But yeah, I mean, eventually I just got to the point where I felt like I was ready to make a change. And I felt what that change did to me mentally and physically. Mentally is really the biggest thing. And I just kind of kept going in that direction. And it led me to reading books by people like David Goggins or Cameron Haynes or Jocko Willink, like all these like super hardcore people that do the most intense things like Navy SEALs, ultra marathons. And I'm reading this stuff. And I'm like, wow, my life's actually really easy. Like it just put things into perspective. Or, I love history, right? Like I've got all this kind of stuff in the background here. If you're listening on the podcast and you don't have the video, sorry, you can't see my cool wall. But you read about like the history and people didn't have basic things like 100 years ago, or like people that had to like fight in World War I and they were living in the trenches. You know what I mean? Like these are the kinds of things that like I would think about. And when I would think about those things, and then I look at what I'm doing, and I'm like, well, why am I making excuses for myself, right? And I think getting to a point where I really integrated that in the background of my mind, and then I was able to correlate kind of that as like the background, and then recognizing that if I ever want to achieve like my real dreams, right? Like I need to take action. Like I need to take that first step. Like if I don't take the first step, I can't take the second step. And then I can't take the third step. Just like you just got to do something. So anyway, big ramble from me. But yes, that's a bit of my history related to like the fitness and the mindset, and I've just become obsessed with it. And I think your mindset is absolutely the most powerful tool that you have, and so many people neglect it because they just don't realize how much power you actually have just by mentally committing to doing something. Anyway, I'll let you jump in here, Steve. I'm sorry, I got a little
No, no,
passionate there.
you're so good. You're so good, and I feel like yeah, it really mindset is everything. I read the Big Leap before I started this podcast, and what the Big Leap is about is kind of like you talk yourself out of most things, and if you can stop doing that, if you can accept that your life can keep getting better and better, and you can get more of the things that you want to do done and not become uncomfortable and feel like I don't deserve this or have imposter syndrome and hold yourself back, then there is absolutely no limit to the things that you can achieve, right? If I say I want to do something that I've never done before, I can either just commit to doing it, or I can be like, yeah, but that'll never be me though. So it's so easy to have a bad mindset, because if you do, you're probably not even aware of it. And if you can change that mindset, which does take a lot of work, and reading some David Goggins and other things like that, and applying those principles, and we'll talk all about running in a little bit. It's like you don't realize that your life is kind of unfulfilling if you never challenge yourself to do anything. And it's easy to be like, yeah, but like the bills are paid and I have a 9 to 5 job that I'm supposed to like. And, I don't have any major health problems. And, there's like an infinite amount of Netflix and Super Smash Brothers I can play. So it's just life is so comfortable. And yeah, like you mentioned, compared to people 100 years ago, oh my God, do we have it easy? And yet we're less happy than ever. So I think it's so important that you take a look at yourself and you think about, okay, what I'm going to die one day. What do I want to do with this life? And it's going to take probably a lot of work.
Oh man, I could not agree more.
Before we continue, if you're enjoying the show, the best way to support the Baldest is by subscribing on whatever platform you are watching or listening. If this episode helped you, made you laugh, made you feel less alone, please consider sharing it with someone that you think could use it. And if you'd like to support the show even further, I'll leave links to all of my social media and Patreon in the description. Let's get back to the conversation.
To your last point about, we're all going to die eventually, right? And like, this is something that I'm trying to live my life by, right? And I had a little reel, I had like a little AI mark as like an 80-year-old man on there for fun. But like, if you put yourself into the shoes of who you are when you're 80, right? Like, imagine you're super old and you're just reflecting on your life, right? Like, are you proud of everything that you've done? Like, are there things that maybe you didn't do, right? Like, did you end up having a family and having children, or like, do you have grandchildren? Did you say when you were younger, yeah, I want to run a marathon someday, and then you just never actually did it, right? There's so many things, or take a trip, or start a business, whatever it is. But there's so many things that I think people subconsciously let pass by without realizing it. And I think sometimes it's really critical for us to have like a conscious moment of being like, all right, I'm putting myself into the shoes of me when I'm extremely old. It's going to be hard for me to do new things, right? Or maybe even like on your deathbed, like what are your final thoughts, right? And you think back, like, and ask yourself this question, right? Am I doing the things now, however old you are? I'm 28. Me as a 28-year-old man right now, and I'm doing the things actively every single day and over the course of weeks and months and years eventually that will lead me to feeling like I'm answering that question in a way that I'd be happy with. And I think that there's so many people that don't even think about that. And it takes a lot of time to kind of like really orient your brain. And people, maybe that stresses some people out. They just want to, chill and hang out. And that's fine. Like, everybody can live their life however they want to. But you have to be able to ask yourself that question, because what you don't want to happen is get to that point and then feel like you wasted your life. And I can give you like such a silly example of like something that I've learned. So when I was a kid, my dad always wanted to get me to go skiing because he loved skiing. Made him happy. And I was kind of, playing my GameCube. GameCube's awesome. Nintendo was the best, the
Yep.
best out of every video game provider, whatever. Just had to throw that in there. GameCube, for real, the best. Anyway, I was playing my GameCube and I didn't want to go skiing with the old man. And it's funny, like years and years later, like now 2 years ago, I finally picked up skiing for the first time and tried it. And I was like, this is so much fun. It's like, I love skiing. And I think back and I'm like, I was so close-minded when I was a kid. I was a kid, whatever. Kids get excuses, it's fine. You can excuse yourself when you're a kid, as long as you like reconcile with yourself as an adult and you're able to figure out maybe where you could have made improvements. But I'm like, dang, if I had said yes as a kid, I'd be way better at skiing right now. And I would have had so much more fun. But anyway, another theme I wanted to pull out from what you kind of laid out previously too is you never know how much you're going to love something until you try it. And I think this is also what is attached to the skiing thing for me. Like I was scared of skiing, right? I was like, I might get injured. I don't know. And I didn't know that I would enjoy it. I was just like, I'm comfortable doing what I'm doing, right? I'm comfortable doing what I'm doing. I'm happy. I'm good. But now that I've gotten into the habit of trying new things like the skiing or like running, which I can't wait to talk about that for like however long you want. Um, like you might discover something that you really love and that changes your life and that makes you a happier person and lets you really just enjoy the quality of your life, right? And like I see this so often with people, especially like today, you mentioned like people are unhappier than ever. And I think part of it is just this online culture that's been created of people doom scrolling. And, like I work from home. Like I sit in this chair. I could very easily sit here all day, but I like make it a point to get up and go do stuff. And I think that's important. But and I want to connect one more thing to this broader theme of like trying new things. And I made a reel about this too. My mom will be so happy because she got me this mug around the time I graduated high school, and it said, "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone." And at the time, I got it, and I was like, "What the heck does this mean? Like, why did you get me this mug?" Like, I just didn't like think much about it. But like, I would always use the mug, fill up my coffee. Big coffee drinker here. Also like energy drinks; they're cool too. But I'd fill up the mug and I would use it, use it, and use it. All these years later, I still use it. And to me, um, life truly does begin at the end of your comfort zone. And I want to unpack that because I think it's really important, right? Like if you just consider the skiing example I said, I was living in my comfort zone when I was with a wee lad playing the GameCube, playing Monkey Ball, Super Smash Bros. Melee, hitting some wave dashes. If you know Smash Bros. Melee Ball or
Yeah, yeah, for
Melee
sure.
Ball, then that's a crazy reference. But I was living in my comfort zone, right? Now, I like that they say life begins at the end of your comfort zone because it's like taking that step outside and like discovering something new that you love, right? And, I'm actually going to jump into the running a little bit right now. I'm going to get ahead of myself. Um, Once you actually start doing something like running, like again, I grew up with asthma, like I said. Running was something that really scared me. Like I would jump onto Wii Fit, they had the balance board and they were like, dude, like, do you exercise? Like what are we doing here, dog? And I was like, no, I just wanted to play Wii. This is the hot new game. But anyway, like that was my baseline. So I didn't really like running, but I stepped out of my comfort zone. And spoiler, I'm going to jump ahead to like what I've been able to do, and then I'll work backwards. Like I went from being like told I'm fat and out of shape from a Wii balance board to just this March running last one standing ultra marathon. I ran for 28 hours straight and completed 104.25 miles. I got fifth place, which is something that, dude, if you would have told me like 20 years ago that I would be doing that, I don't even know how I would have reacted. Like I would think you're just like pulling some sick prank on me. But you don't go from like that one thing all the way to the end. Like again, like even if you told me that last year, I wouldn't have thought that. And that's normal. But what you want to be able to discover through this process is, okay, I started walking. I stepped out of my comfort zone. I ran a little bit here and there. I can run a mile, right? Like, and you get in the habit of like doing these very, very small things, and you build that habit over time, and that becomes your process. And then from there, you start eyeing up things like, oh, there's a 5K race happening. Like that's really out of my comfort zone. Like a 5K is crazy. I just run a little bit here and there. And for me, like I was in a phase where I would identify myself as a jogger for like years because I was like, I'm not a runner. Like that's not me. I just like jog occasionally. Finally, one day my girlfriend looks at me. She's like, dude, why do you keep saying you're a jogger? Like you run like all the time. I was like, yeah, but I don't like do races. That's not who I am. And then finally, like it clicked, and it's actually really powerful, like the concept of identity and how you can act once you align yourself with some certain mindset or intrinsic characteristic. Like if I tell myself I'm a jogger and I don't run, I'm more likely to not actually sign up for races and push myself outside of that comfort zone and see the next level, which, would be like do that 5K race. And then all of a sudden you do the 5K race and then it's like suddenly you're looking at the 10K race, which is like 6.2 miles. And the 5K is 3.1 miles, just FYI for listeners that might not know. But it's crazy, and I love going down this rabbit hole with the running because it's just such an easy thing where you can stack and visually see the progress over time, right? Like you go from that 3 to the 6, and then eventually you take it as far as you want. So I just think that's such an important thing. And Steve, I'm going to let you talk, man. I'm going to pass it back to you because again, I'll just go.
Dude, you're the guest. You're allowed to talk as much as you want. Do you know what my? I swear, I'll turn this into running. But do you know what my dad said to me after my very first guest episode? He goes, "You were good, but your guest was really good." And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for here. This isn't just it's my show, but like the whole point is that the guest is supposed to look good. So yeah, no, don't feel bad about going on as long or I'll indulge you as long as you want. I don't care.
Okay, cool. I just hate feeling like I'm hogging this show
No,
sometimes.
no, no. This
I
is
like
your
to share the
show.
love, brother.
No, you are the star of the show. So
Oh, come
I
on.
but I got started kind of the same way in running. I grew up pretty overweight and so I think it was at my job we had like they do the Chicago Spring every year. So if you want to sign up, they'll pay for it. And it was the first one. I think I signed up for a 10K before I had even ever ran. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just gonna do this or whatever. So then it's like, okay, well, you download the Nike Run app or whatever, and then you're like, all right, well, let's go try running for 15 minutes and see how it goes. And then eventually you do, you're running 5K and you're like, okay, this isn't that bad. I mean, I didn't die. And then it's just you slowly work your way up, and then you're doing fives, you're doing tens. Then the most I've ever done is a half marathon. But I love that you said that you called yourself a jogger for so long because I feel like it's so easy to have imposter syndrome when you're a new runner because you're like, well, I don't run. Like I go for jogs. And it's like, okay, no one is sprinting in a marathon. Like if you're sprinting in a marathon, you're on a whole different level. So everybody's just jogging really in a distance endurance race. So it's like, yeah, you're just as much of a runner as everyone else. You're just kind of you, but you won't let yourself have it. And I think that's a good example of the upper limit problem. I'm not a runner. It's like, do you see my wall full of medals? Like, would you say that that's a person who runs? I paid $85 for a pair of short shorts. That's what runners do. So yeah, like it's so easy to even those little, I don't even know what you call it, just little microaggressions against yourself, being like, oh, I run 3 times a week, but I'm a jogger.
Mhm.
I can't be a runner because that's not how I identify. And then once you start doing it, it's like, yeah, I run. I'm a runner. And that's a great
Oh yeah.
thing to have on your internal resume in the back of your mind where you start to think, okay, well, maybe I'm not so, I don't know, whatever. Maybe I'm not so good. Maybe I don't do that much or whatever. And then it's like, and then you look on the wall and there's all these medals over there, and you're
Yep.
like, well, I guess I run a little bit. Yeah,
Man, and that is what David Goggins refers to as the cookie jar. I don't know if you've read any of his books, but
I have. Yeah,
yeah, and I love that one. I tried to like really take a lot of mental notes reading his book. If anybody listening to this hasn't read or listened to, I listened to the Audible version. I don't know how to read actually. I'm just
yeah,
kidding,
me
I
too.
do. But I listened to the audio version. It Can't Hurt Me as his first one. I can't remember what the second one's called off the top of my head, but also great. But I really tried to take a lot of like mental notes when I was listening to that because people like David Goggins or like I threw out some other names like Cameron Haynes and Jocko Willink. Those are like two other people that I seriously really look up to. Like they're just absolute freaks, and they get out there and they wake up early and they just do all this stuff. And then I look again. It's like I look at myself. I'm like, whoa, like how could I adopt something that's more like them? So anyway, I always try when I listen to books like that to really like adopt the principles and not just like listen to it to listen to it and be like, yeah, listen to the book and like not take anything away from it. But yeah, the cookie jar thing is cool. And I use that all the time. Whenever I'm doing a race, and I do a lot of other races too. Like I've done a bunch of Spartans, Tough Mudders, I've done High Rocks. Savage Race. Oh, it's kind of fun. They have a big slide at the end. Um, Half marathons, whatever. Like I love running and all that stuff. It's really fun. But whenever I'm like really in the pain cave, that's what they say in like the ultra community. Like, you're running and it's just like hours and you're like burning all your fuel and you're hungry and like whatever. You're just like really hurting. You're in the pain cave. Whenever I'm in the pain cave for me, I reach into the cookie jar, as David Goggins said, and I'm like, oh, I did this hard thing that one time. Like, that's cool. And then I take a bite out of it, throw it away. And then I grab another, but I also did this hard thing. And like it's so empowering. Like, especially in the concept of going back to that like end of your comfort zone thing. And like we were saying is like going scaling like across all these different running levels. Like the more you go, the more you step up. Well, I did a 5K. I can do this 10K. Like that wasn't too bad. Or like, you just keep going. And especially during my last one standing backyard ultra marathon, man, I was in the cookie jar like the whole time. Because it was just, man, I'll tell you too, like running for 28 hours straight. Such a crazy experience, man. And I will gladly go down a rabbit hole, and I can give you kind of like the short end of that experience, if you want. But I don't want to delve us too far on things. So,
No, I mean, why do you think, and you can certainly maybe tie this in. What do you think it is about running specifically that pushes you into places you haven't gone? Because I think I see a lot of bald runners. And when I saw you, I got excited. I'm like, he also runs. Oh my God. So, but I feel like there's something specific about running. Is it because it's like you're yourself and then you know where the next challenge is? Maybe it's the same thing with pickleball. I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet. But it's like it just seems like with runners, it's almost like you're always hunting for like something else with running. And then I feel like that has like a ripple effect into the rest of your life because people seem to have a certain reverence towards runners, like non-runners, especially when they hear you run. Even if I ran 5 minutes a day to take the garbage out, and I claim I'm a runner and I'm wearing running shoes. I think people respect runners more so than I think if I did, I don't know, kayaking or whatever. What 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 do you think it
shade to
is
the
about
kayak
running
people.
that it changes the person who starts running and continues to run and the way that people see that person?
Well, it's a really interesting question. I haven't really considered it. I mean, I guess I'll answer it maybe a bit more broadly to start, and then maybe I'll have some brain blast Jimmy Neutron style and like connect more to the specific writing. But like for me, I would extend it to just broad like fitness too. Like just to me, like when I meet somebody else that like does fitness stuff, like they go to the gym regularly or they run regularly, even the kayak bros, no shade, no shade. We love
No,
the
no, I
kayak
wasn't trying to
bros.
shade the kayak bros. I just
I
was
know.
something I'm not
I'm
great
playing.
at.
I'm playing. But like I think it really is just like to me at least, and I don't want to speak for the entire community of bald gentlemen or anything like that, but like to me when I see somebody that's like really passionate about like a fitness thing, or it could be something that's non-fitness, but like for me, I'm very passionate about fitness. So when I also see somebody that's very invested into fitness, something that like makes their body better, something that enables you mentally to attack the day better, I think that that is a something that I just instantly respect and click with. I'm like, oh, this person gets it. Especially like, and I'll do you one more too. Like, it's one thing if I meet somebody that does like all the fitness and the running stuff, but like, I'm an avid morning gym guy. So if I meet somebody else that starts their day by like going to the gym, I'm like, hey, yo, we dap up. I'm like, yo, real recognize real, brother. But like, dude, it's so real. And I'll just kind of like riff on that statement for a second. Like, I used to always go to the gym after work. That was like my thing, and I love going to the gym after work. There's nothing wrong with it. I love the gym. It's awesome. But like when I started going to the gym in the morning, and I'm going to give my girlfriend credit for this because she's going to listen to this and say, I told you to start going to the gym in the morning. That was my idea. So, Claire, here's your credit. She suggested to me that I should consider going to the gym in the morning because she has all these benefits from it. She thought that I might also achieve those same benefits. To her correct prediction, I did find all those benefits, which is basically for me, I get up, I well, first I make some oatmeal. I think you got to have some fuel. Oatmeal, a little bit of fruit, a little bit of honey, optional, little pinch of salt if you want. Then go to the gym. I usually lift my weights there, and then I'll do like a run later in the day or in the evening. Um, but it's crazy, dude. Like I'll get my workout in, and then I come home and I am like supercharged for the day. Now I also usually have an energy drink at the gym. So it might also partly be because I'm all hopped up on an energy drink, but dude, it's so funny. And to like go back to the beginning of our conversation too, and you even said like you always have so much energy and da 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 da. Like whenever I'm on Teams calls in the morning at like 9 a.m., I am the first one. How's everybody doing? Having a good morning and like all that stuff. And people are, dude, like somebody asked me the one time, like, how do you have this much energy? It's 9 a.m. or like 8 a.m. Like, well, for starters, I've been up since 5 in the morning. I went to the gym for an hour and a half, came back, made a big old breakfast, and I'm off of 200 plus milligrams of caffeine currently. But like, anyway, that is very far removed from your initial kind of question. But anyway, I think part of it is like when I see somebody that is also invested into running or something like that, they are prioritizing those things, which then bleed into other aspects of areas of their life and then help improve those areas. Like I can tell you for a fact, the days that I don't go to the gym before I start my day, I am way less productive at work. I don't know what it is. I think it's about endorphins. Actually, I used to blog like maybe 3 years ago now, and there was one that I wrote about. I think it's actually a Mark Twain book or quote. It's about eating a frog for breakfast. And like the whole core idea of it is like when you wake up in the morning, you should do the hardest thing of your day. Like eat the frog, man. You know, cut it up, do whatever. I mean, it's kind of gross. Don't actually eat a frog. I mean, if you did, you'd probably be like really productive for the rest of the day. But it's like once you do something like difficult like that, especially like a physical fitness thing, and you release those endorphins, you're awake, you've already kind of conquered your first win for the day. You are just way more productive. Like sending that email, dude, that's easy. I benched 315 this morning. Like I can type an email and send it. Like, are you kidding me? Like I used to do cold showers in the morning too, and I need to get back to that. But there's nothing like that kicks you in the butt more than like waking up. Of course, make your bed first. That is like rule number one, always make your bed. That's the first victory of the day. After you make your bed, if you really want to supercharge your day, jump into a cold shower or an ice bath if you have it. I don't have one, but dude, you jump into a cold shower just to like get the cold water on your skin and your eyes just dude, you wake up and you are ready. You get out of the shower, it can be like a minute and a half. That's all you need. You know, you don't have to like clean your whole body. Ideally, you probably showered like, I don't know, another time before. You're not doing it to clean yourself. You're not waking up dirty and showering then. You're waking up, you're jumping in the shower just to like, bonk, you know, your eyes light up and you're just like, let's go. So, anyway, yes, but specifically with running, I don't know. I think the other thing about running and lifting too, um, for me, like, I don't know, they're not like team sports. You know what I mean? Like they're things where like, and I think I'm trying to get at your point of like constant like pursuits of growth. And like you can play on a team sport and like have the best soccer team. Like the World Cup just happened. That was really cool. You can definitely progress in those ways. But like I think for like individuals that are not like professional athletes, something like a running or a lifting or some other like solo thing that you're not relying on other dependencies, as in other people. I think also relying on other people like to play a sport, like for instance, if I wanted to play pickleball, like there's now a friction point of I can't just go out and play pickleball myself. You know, I could, I maybe I'll look crazy and maybe there's some kind of like cool robot that will do that with me. I could go like to the random local pickleball place and maybe there's some people that will let me join them. but it's also like I'm now dependent on like maybe there's one day a week where there's a league. And it's like harder, I think, to find those things where you're just consistently progressing. You can still do that. Maybe that's a bad example, but the point is like there's less friction and there's less dependencies when it's like literally just you and I just have to step outside and run, or I just have to go lift up my arm and lift this weight. Um, so I don't really know what the point of that last part was, if I'm being completely honest with you, but hopefully it sounded cool.
No, it did sound cool. And I think the point maybe that you're trying to make is running is solely in your control every day. So it's like, what is it? It's like you feed the wolf that you want to live, die, grow, something. You feed one and you starve the other. I feel bad for that wolf. But you could go run every day if you want to. So it's like, but do you choose to, I think is what it is. And running also has this linear progression. So does strength training. And it's just, well, I can go do this whenever I want. And it's something that I can get better at. That's kind of for me. And I think that's because I don't really do races anymore. So running really is just something for me. So when I go for a run, I just feel better. And I think that's the part that I like about it most. It doesn't, to me, at this point, it doesn't really matter how long I go for a run for. It's just, I enjoy going for a run. It's a good chance for me to like get my head straight and stuff. So I feel like just as a health and wellness tool, running is such a good one because, or else I would just be, I don't know, doing whatever all day. I mean, I would just be doing social media stuff or recording videos or editing things or playing video games or doing all these other things that are not bad in a vacuum. But every time that I'm like, yeah, but today it's really nice outside, and it's like, let's make this a priority, let me make myself a priority and go for a run. It's just it's like, I think running is one of those great things, like other parts of fitness, of course, because it pays you back, and I feel like running pays you back very quickly.
Absolutely, brother. I could not agree more. And like too, like you mentioned kind of like the mental aspect, or at least alluded to it, of like just feeling better. And I could tell you, like going back to earlier in the podcast and when I referenced like, I just started like walking outside and then eventually I started running. But like for when I was in high school, like I was actually scared to run, which is funny. Thinking about this now and again, this goes back to that like step outside your comfort zone thing. I was once a man that was afraid to run. Like I would just go on walks around my neighborhood, and I would go for like 4 hours, and I would just listen to my music. I was like super emo with my hair at the time, and I was like,
Just brushing it out of your
I
brushing
was
it out of
like,
your face.
gosh, don't look at me, guys. Like, I'm really going through it right now. But like, dude, it would clear my head. Like, I'd feel great. But also it's just like funny too. And I want to share this too. Like, again, like I'm doing all these races now. I love running. I'm very passionate about running. I talk about running. I do running. But like, I remember, going home like after high school when I was like going through that phase of like losing weight. Um, and I remember like being scared to have my mom and my sister know that I was on the treadmill. So I would like only go on the treadmill like before they got home, which was like I had like 30 minutes because I was like, they can't know that I'm like working out. Like they're gonna think like I don't know what I'm doing or like I'm stupid. Like this was like my brain as like a 15 or 16-year-old kid, which like again, looking back on it, like so dumb. Or like I don't know, like eventually I got to the point where now I run all the time and like do all this stuff, but it's just like so crazy how you can like have this like again, kind of like the imposter syndrome or just like not believing in yourself. And I also think like that, you know, podcast is the baldest, of course. I would like to talk about the bald stuff too, but like that gets into the bald too, right? Like you go from a point of like, oh, I'm like, I can't run on the treadmill in front of my own family. It's like, how do you get to that conclusion? Same thing as like, I can't like go outside without a hat on. And I get it. And I lived that for years. So anyone that is listening that is maybe going through like the balding process, I imagine most listeners, I don't know if there's like a percentage of your viewers, like it says like 99.9% of listeners are bald. It's like, that would be so cool if you saw that, you know what I mean?
We don't have
But
these
like,
stats yet, but we'll work on it.
that'd be so crazy. But like dude, like that's such a real thing. And it again, like it sounds like I was listening to one of your podcasts yesterday, as I mentioned before we kind of got rolling here. Like it's just so crazy looking back on it now as like a bald guy that's just like I go to work bald, I go to the gym bald, I am bald, occasionally I wear hats, hats are cool. But like it's just so crazy looking back on it and being like I was so scared to take my hat off or like the wind blew the wrong way. But like I put myself back into the shoes of who I was then. And I'm like, yeah, no, that was really, really scary for me. And it stems from a number of different things, which we can get into. And I mean, a lot of it for me was like just general insecurity, which was it was fueled honestly for me. Like in college, I got teased a lot for it. And it was like I was 19 at the time, as I started to like really notice it. And it was immediately kind of like that was what I got picked on for in my fraternity, which was, love the fraternity, love the guys. We all picked on each other. Like it wasn't like, making you feel horrible or anything, but it was just like that was a thing. And it's at the time, if anybody else is getting teased, like they would call me the McDonald's hairline because I mean, you gotta see I've shaved like 2 days ago, but you can see I lost these two first. So again, for the podcast listeners online, it's like I had the classic receding hairline, which is kind of like the U shape, if you will. So the two front patches had initially kind of left. My friends would go, ha ha, ba da ba ba ba, and they'd do the McDonald's arts and they'd all laugh. And naturally, like very funny, but like also internally as a 19-year-old, when everybody else has these nice full heads of hair, it made me feel bad at the time. I'm gonna be honest. And I think that's okay. And that's something that everybody experiences. But you don't have to let that govern you and rule you. You shouldn't let it. It's the same as me just saying how silly it was to be scared of running on the treadmill in front of my mom and sister. It's like, no, dude, like you do you live your life. Like we want to see you living the best version of yourself. Anybody that cares about you and loves you wants that. So it's just silly, but it's such a real thing. And getting to the point eventually where I made the decision to shave it, which was around 24 for me, just so freeing. So I'm gonna let you jump in, Steve, with some additional questions. I see you smiling. You're like, dude, I told you to go as long as you want, but I want to
I
bring you
did
into
say
this.
that. No, 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 no. You're totally good because that's such a great correlation. Is that I think for a lot of people, I don't want to say everybody, but probably everybody, it's like you've collected these demons over the course of your childhood, whatever they are, but we'll use baldness as the good one. It's like you had that insecurity, people made fun of you, and then eventually you decided, you know what? So, like, I'm going to start living my authentic life and stop hiding who I am. And I think it's just the old, there's the you that you want to be, and then there's the you that you actually are. And then the closer those things are, just the happier you're going to be. And for people who are balding and are suffering, if shaving your head is just going to get you closer because it's like that actually isn't a part of you that you need to be ashamed of. And the longer you have that, you put that insecurity on a pedestal, it's gonna, that thing rules you because you're like, nah, I got to put a hat on. I can't go outside. I can't do this. I got to do a comb over or I got to go do all these other things. And I try not to beat up on the hair restoration people too much. But it's like but this is the baldest. So if you let any insecurity that you've collected, either from childhood or early adulthood or later adulthood or whatever, as long as you're scared of that thing, it's in control. But the second you're able to be like, I'll just shave my head, or I'm a runner now, or I'm a charming leader and people will follow me, whatever it is, you're going to get closer to that ideal self that you maybe at the time don't know you want to be at. But once you get there, you're like, man, why did I keep myself trapped in that prison for so long?
Well said, Steve. Couldn't have said it better myself, brother.
That's why I'm the
Truly.
host, baby. Got one.
Shakespeare.
Got one,
Steve
Dad. What did you think
Shakespeare
about
himself.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Suck
I
it,
got him.
Dad. No.
I know.
Kidding.
He's so
No
supportive. He
offense
did
to
this.
Mr. Steve. No offense to Mr. Steve.
Oh, no, no. This is
Oh man. No, I totally agree, and I kind of want to go down a fun Mark Stefanik family lore rabbit hole too
Oh, go
on the
for it.
bald thing, which is just funny. I was thinking about this morning and like what I want to say, and I kind of like jumped right into like the I was struggling bald man like and that or struggling balding man, and then I reclaimed my dignity and shaved my head and blah 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 whatever. But it's so funny because all right, so growing up, my dad, as you can guess, is bald. I don't know, Steve, about your dad. If your dad is a hair enjoyer or not, but
Perfect head of hair
oh,
in
you're
his
kidding me.
60s. Perfect. Barely any gray even. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how good his hair is.
It's insulting. That's like my girlfriend's dad too. He's got like the most perfect full head of hair, and then he
Mm-hmm.
meets me, and I'm like, "Hello, I'm." At the time, I was like 24. I was like, "I'm 24 and bald." He's like, "Dude, what is wrong with you?" No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, my dad was like, I wish you could have inherited my hair. And I'm like, yeah, but then I wouldn't have a podcast. So, you know what? It
True,
all
dude.
works out in the end.
Well, it's so funny too, because like, my parents, like my family, divorced, whatever. But like, I have two half brothers that are older than me. They are bald. Both of them are bald. They have a different mother. We both share the same father. My father is bald, but it's so funny. Like, and on my mom's side of the family, everybody's got full heads of hair. They're like hair maxing. They're like, not that they're like, they're not, no, they're not rubbing it in like, dude, suck it, man. Like, but they're just, they got hair. And I remember like my whole life, because I always liked my hair a lot. I thought it was cool. Like, I had like a little butterfly comb thing. And I just, I
Oh my
mentioned like
God.
the flippy thing when I was walking. But I'd be like, Dad, like, do you think I'm gonna lose my hair someday? He'd be like, nah, you got your Uncle Kenny's genetics. That guy's got a crazy head of hair. It's my mom's side, my mom's brother. And I was like, okay, you really think so? He's like, yeah, yeah. And it's just like so funny. And I'm like looking at my two half brothers and like, they're bald. I watched them go through their kind of balding process too when I was younger. It's so funny. Like everyone always says like you get your genetics from hair from like your mom's side. So I'm like, oh well, surely I'll be fine. Like, I'm not going to lose my hair. Everybody says in science class and online, you get your genetics from your mom's side. Sure enough, I start losing my hair, and it's just so funny. Like even from a young age, so I was like, I really don't want that to happen to me. But like now, like it's just like again, like funny looking back that I'm like, I actually like being bald. Like if I'm being honest with you, I know it sounds hard to believe. Some of you,
On a bald podcast? No.
yeah, really. It's actually so funny too. I told some coworkers, say shout out to you both if you're listening, you know who you are. But I was like, yeah, I'm actually I gotta run and join a little podcast quick, and then I'll be back on. I'll review this document later tonight. And they're like, cool, man. Like, what's the podcast? And I was like, all right, well, first of all, don't laugh. It's very serious. It's called The Baldest. It's about bald guys and positive like bald culture and all this stuff. And they were like, are you serious, dude? I was like, yeah. Like, what's wrong with that? It's just so funny, dude. But they don't. They get it. They don't get it. They have full heads of hair. They don't understand that there is like a legitimate niche and like such a like need for content like this. And dude, also it's so funny and just crazy. Like I'm just gonna go on another tangent here. Um, I have been posting on my Instagram page for like, let's see, 2.5 years now, and for the first like, well, up until 2 months ago, I exclusively talked about like fitness stuff. I could bench this, and this is how you do this, or whatever. I actually did this one crazy challenge where I ran a 5K for 75 days straight. If you can believe that, it was crazy. My legs
That
did
is
not like it,
crazy.
but I was like, dropping in some quotes in there as I do in cool and true Mark Stefanik style. Nothing really took off or anything like that. Like it just wasn't like a need. Like there wasn't like people that needed to hear that stuff. They're like, yeah, you get it, buddy. You can lift weights, you can run, cool. I had an urge to do a video for probably a year of just talking about my experience shaving my head and what that did to me because I knew how I felt for years and I never did it. Um, and then one day I finally just was like, I'm going to record that video. And it took me, I don't know, 2 minutes. I like was on the beach. I was on a trip. I had like the ocean behind me. It was really cool. And I was recording, and I was like, just went through it, and then I kind of gave you guys the extra long special edition version here on the Baldest, so it's exclusive here on the Baldest only. But I went through that kind of whole story and I told them about the butterfly comb and everything, how much I loved my hair. But what I didn't get to yet is like how freeing it was to be relieved of all that. And Steve, you hit on it earlier, but like, from my experience personally, like, man, for years, like the biggest insecurity that I had in my life was my hairline and being, trapped behind the hat. Like I felt like I couldn't leave the house with a hat on. Unless of course it was like a work thing and you can't really wear a hat to the office. I mean you can. I mean it's maybe a little risky depending on where you work. Um, but man, finally shaving my head that day was the most liberating feeling because I finally felt like I had took control over my own body, my own life. Like it's so silly. It's so silly to all you full haired sigmas out there. What does this guy mean? He lost control of his body because he's losing his hair. It's like, well, sometimes it feels that way. And I'm just gonna be honest. And you guys, listening to this, I'm sure you've felt that. You feel like you don't have control sometimes. And there is nothing worse than feeling like you don't have control over what's happening with your own body and how you choose to express yourself. So, I mean, what I did first before all of the actual big moment of shaving my head was, okay, well, Mark, let's think about what I can control. So that's again another reason why I was doubling down on things like running and lifting because those are things that I could control. And my friends in college, they call me the McDonald's hairline, whatever, and very funny, Alan. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Love you, Alan. But anyway, what I could control was the actual exercise. And I was like, if you know what, you can call me McDonald's hairline all you want. You can even call me bald for all I care, even though I'm not bald at this moment. But like, what you're not going to call me is dumb because I get good grades because I invest in like my school. You're not going to call me like a loser because I do, I try hard at everything I do. I made myself get a good job. I do all these things. And you're not going to call me like weak or anything like that because I go to the gym and I do these things. So I got to the point where I built up like literally this huge arsenal. If you think back to the David Goggins cookie jar thing, like maybe it's not like a race or a medal, but like just by living and adopting these really positive habits around me, I was able to say, yeah, well, you can't call me this, you can't call me that. So you know what? That's fine. Call me the McDonald's hairline. I really don't care, dude. That's the only thing you can come up with, brother. Come on now, you can do me better. That's it. It's been the McDonald's airline for years. And now that I actually, eventually did the step of shaving my head and taking full control of that, now it's like, all right, well, you're bald. I'm like, dude, I don't care. I'm literally on the Baldest podcast. Like, I like being bald. Like, are you still on that, buddy? Like, what's going on here? you know? So it's just like, I don't know. I guess the point is, man, like, yeah, you might be losing your hair. It is frustrating. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, nobody wakes up one day and says, I'd actually like to start slowly losing my hair. But what you can do is control all of those other things. And you should do that. If you control all those other things, that will help build you up into a more holistic person. It will help you with your self confidence, all those things. And then whenever you eventually do shave your head, dude, you're like Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Like, I mean, that was kind of like what I was going for. Like I want to be like the cool, bald, jacked guy. There's all the different bald archetypes. You've seen stuff like that, Steve, I'm sure. But that's what I wanted to be. I want to be the cool, jacked, bald guy. So anyway, I hope that's helpful for somebody.
Before we continue, if you're enjoying the show, the best way to support the Baldest is by subscribing on whatever platform you are watching or listening. If this episode helped you, made you laugh, made you feel less alone, please consider sharing it with someone that you think could use it. And if you'd like to support the show even further, I'll leave links to all of my social media and Patreon in the description. Let's get back to the conversation. Yeah, I totally agree. I think looking at your life holistically is the best way about it because if being bald is your biggest insecurity, then okay, then you're kind of in a good spot then because well then there must be other things, but if being bald isn't your only insecurity, it's just adding to the weight of the things that you're insecure about. And yeah, someone can call me bald. I mean, I think that's the point of the show, right? Is that, yeah, we're all, this is one, this is for us. And two, we're all bald, but we're all doing stuff. Like, this is not our only thing. We're running, we're exercising, we're eating better, we're playing pickleball, we're kayaking, we're doing all these things because it's just, this is not, having hair is not a limiting factor. Having hair or not having hair does not change my value as a person. So, but I mean, I think for anybody, it's like, well, you have nothing going on and you're bald. Well, I mean, that kind of sucks. So
Yeah.
you might as well just say, well, yep, the hair's going. I mean, it's the same as any other physical insecurity that someone might have. I'm pretty short, so I mean, that could be an insecurity, but it's like, well, whatever. It's something you can't control. So it's just, I think life is about what you choose to focus on. You said perspective earlier. It's so easy to be pessimistic, right? And saying that I'm losing my hair and my life is over and no one's ever going to find me attractive anymore. It's like, okay, well, that's probably not true, but you could certainly have an impact on your life by, I guess, making yourself more attractive if that's your insecurity.
Yep.
And you could get out, you could do things and work on yourself and change your physical abilities, and then you don't know what else that's going to lead to. I think that was another thing you said about running. It's like, you don't know what running will lead you to. Running will
Oh
lead
yeah.
you to this place and this place, and you'll meet this person, you'll meet this person, and you'll have this friend, and then you'll have this great process incorporated in your life. And that could be applied to anything, right? Going to the gym, or playing tennis, or anything. It's just that it's like, if you're unhappy with your life, then you can do something about it. And I think that's really the David Goggins message for the whole book. It's like, he does a good job of illustrating just how down bad he was, just
Yeah.
being, what, 300 pounds, spraying for cockroaches, eating donuts all day. And then he's like, I just stopped and did a complete 180, and it was the worst. But now, standing on all of these accomplishments that he's done, he can look back and say, yeah, but I had to go down that far so I could pull myself up. And once you become a person who pulls yourself up, then it's so difficult for someone or something like being bald or losing your hair to pull you back down, because you've developed that strength with yourself.
Excellent, Steve. I'm for the podcast listeners again. You're not seeing me, but I'm clapping, slow clapping for my friend Steve here because that was beautiful, man. I mean, seriously, but no, it makes me think too of this quote, and I mean, also agree with everything you just said, but again, big history guy. So the OG JP Morgan, the founder of the JP Morgan Bank himself, has this quote, and actually interned there many moons ago. And I actually shared the quote during the internship interview, and I was like, "Please hire me, please. I really know your history." But whatever. But the quote still sticks with me years later. And I don't work there now, but yeah. Anyway, disclosure, I don't work there. But it's go as far as you can see, and once you get there, you'll be able to see further. Like it is that simple. And like, if we unpack that for a second, right, it kind of builds on the comfort zone thing we were talking about. And Steve, I think you just kind of hit on it. And this kind of just drives it home. But it's like, you go as far as you can. Like, you're not gonna, again, like, if I go back to the running example, right, when if I remind you all of the funny the We Fit balance board thing where it told me I was obese. I was like, dude, what are you doing? All the way to like earlier this year running my first backyard ultra marathon. Like you don't, that's not as far as you can see right now. I mean, that's probably not within reach if you're getting told you're not in the best shape by a We Fit balance board, right? You know what I mean? But like, you go as far as you can in that moment. And then like, you get to that point, and then you're like, now you can see further. It's like if you're climbing like mountains or something. Well, like imagine you're like in this valley. Oh, here's a perfect example. You got Goku in the back, right? So
Oh,
any
it's
other.
Krillin.
Oh, it's Krillin. Oh, I see.
It's
Now I see.
Krillin
Actually,
because he's
now
bald.
that
Yeah, I
now
used
that
to
I
have
zoom in
Goku, but
more,
yeah, no, it's Krillin now.
actually, that makes a lot of sense. Much love. Krillin's actually really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
underrated.
well, absolutely, man. The bald guys are always underrated. What's up with that? The Squidward's cool too. I don't know if you consider him bald, but like handsome Squidward. Am I right,
No, no,
guys?
yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure, he's bald. He's one of us.
yeah, yeah.
We'll take
I
him.
guess he doesn't have hair, so neither does Patrick or SpongeBob for that matter. What is
Yeah,
going
but
on with
but
that,
I
huh?
don't know. SpongeBob has hair energy. You know what I mean? He's got
Yeah,
hair.
true. Okay, I don't know why I started going down that rabbit hole, but like the what I was trying to say is like if you know like the DBZ intro, like one of them, and there's like the mountains and they're like super like hilly. I think it's actually made off of, like a real mountainscape, but like I think about like that quote almost in that context. Like just imagine you're on a mountainside. It's like go as far as you can see. You climb up to one, you're on top of it. Oh, I can see the next one. And then you like go down and you go back up to that one. Now that's as far as you can see again. And then oh, I can see the next one. And then you go down and do whatever. And like you can just keep scaling that until you're like all the way at the end or like at the top or whatever. Maybe there is no top. Maybe it's just, life is an infinite battle. But like the fact is, if you don't go as far as you can see to begin with, then dude, like you don't even climb any of those things. So like that's such an important thing is like just take that step, man. So yeah, whether it's, shaving your head in that context or in investing in other areas of your life, that is like that has been something that's been driving my like inner mindset and the way I talk to myself for years now. And I I live by it. I mean, I seriously do. If I did not live by it, I don't think I'd be on the Baldest with the man Steve himself. So I'm very happy. And I'm currently on the peak right now. I don't know. I'm starting to see what's ahead. There's
Well,
another
now
one coming. I don't know what it is.
now you're looking at a bigger podcast to be on because from here you
Yeah,
can go
right, dude.
beyond any podcast you
Let's get
want.
Joe Rogan on here, actually.
Yeah. We should get he's maybe he's definitely one of my dream guests. But I think you could certainly apply that quote to anything that you want to do, right? Let's say you've always wanted to start a business, right? I just had the founder of Only Balds, John, on yesterday, and he's just like, man, this is what I wanted to do. So it's like he's still in the early phases of doing it, but it's like, well, okay, I've learned all these things, and now I have, he went from having an idea to having a product on the shelf behind me, not instantaneously. It's like it was one thing after another. Okay, what do we want? How do we want to make it? We want to make it like this. Okay, how does it feel? How does it look? How does it smell? What does it do for your skin? Like all these things, all these little mountains that you have to keep going to. And then once, now he's on this other mountain where, well, I have a product. So now I need to, I want more people to buy it and I want new products and all these things. So, and now we're doing a bald meetup in LA. They just did one in New York. So it's
Nice.
like you you can you're if you never set your expectations so high that you can't achieve them because you don't even know what your expectations will be until you get closer to the next mountain. So if I think, okay, I want to do, I'm going to do 5 podcast episodes, right? Maybe that's crazy, right? I have 0 podcast episodes. I'm going to come up with 5. That seems like an impossible mountain. And it's like, okay, well, this is going to be 10. And it's like, okay, but now I'm looking at, okay, are we looking at 20? I mean, my goal is 21, but that's not actually the goal anymore because now that I've gotten up to 10, I'm like, 21 is easy. We can easily do 21. So now it's what, 50, 100, whatever it is.
Yep.
So yeah, it all connects, right? Getting out of your comfort zone and then getting a little higher so you can see further, but you can't even talk yourself out of where you'll eventually go because you don't know how high it's going to go.
Yep. Man, it's crazy. And like it's just so like it just drives me crazy in like a good way of like how cool it is that like we can have these like conversations about like I guess architecting our future without even realizing it. And like there's so many people that don't even think about how you can really change your life just by adopting a mindset like this. Something where you're being open-minded, you're not closed-minded, and like taking that first step, and that enables you to take the second step. And it's not about getting to the finish line now. It's about just doing those small things, which then open up the possibilities to all these bigger things. Like, don't overwhelm yourself. You don't got to solve world hunger. Like, dude, you just got to take that first step and then build the process around it, build the habits. Another great book, Atomic Habits, if you haven't read it. That's like every self-improvement person's like handbook. I should have it actually probably on the shelf back there somewhere. I got some books. I do know how to read. I said I don't earlier, but I was lying. I do know how to read. But yeah.
You know how to buy them.
Yeah. Actually, funny enough, probably like most people with the books, like I have not read probably 75% of those, if I'm being completely honest with you.
It's
But it's
okay.
because I'm so busy doing other things, you know?
Yeah, that's the best part about buying books, and kind of why I make myself go to the library now. And I'm gonna say a good 60 to 70% of the time, I take the book back before I'm even done because I don't know, I just have like attention problems with books. But I'm like, a book needs to
Same.
grab me right away. So I I've only bought one book this year because I rented it from the library and I liked it so much. I was like, no, I want to keep this book forever. But yeah, I mean, books really, it's you have the smartest people in the world writing these books, and yeah, it's easy self improvement hack. Read a damn book. I mean,
Mm.
it's that easy.
Yeah. Yeah, another thing too, like that, I think kind of connects to all this too, and it's a key theme that I took from Atomic Habits, and I'll share it with you too. I think the author's James Clear, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Hopefully I'm right about that.
I think
If
so.
not, yeah, you can find it if I'm wrong. But he talks about adopting like these bite-sized habits and like not overwhelming yourself with things. So I think it takes what 33 days to create a habit. And like, let me give you like a fun example I like to usually give to people like that I've adopted over a long period of time, and it relates back to like going to the gym. Like when I first started going to the gym, or when you first start to do something new, there's like this whole conscious thought decision process around it. Like I go to the gym in the morning, so like I'll just walk you through my morning. I get up, make my bed, make my oatmeal. I kind of talked about that already, but like then I just go to the gym. That's it. There's no thought or should I go to the gym? There's no question. But when I started going to the gym or I start something else, like when I start to try to slowly weave back in those cold showers, I ask myself the question, if I take a cold shower right now and I'm like, I don't really want to, and you like kind of bargain with yourself, that is like honestly the most difficult part of adopting any habit or anything is getting past those first like 33 days or whatever until you actually form that habit. And then, dude, like literally you don't even think about it after. Like for me, I'm like, dude, how do you go to the gym like every single morning? And how do you run? And how do you do all that? I'm like, it's just a habit. Like it genuinely, I don't think about it. It takes the best part about that is like you don't drain any mental energy then bargaining over that. That is space in your mind that is now freed up to think about other things, or like you get more time back in the day. You're not sitting there for 5 minutes thinking about it. You just get up and do it. And anyway, to get back to like the digestible habits part that I sort of teed up and then went down another rabbit hole with just habits in general, like you don't have to like figure out everything all at once. Like you don't have to go to the gym for like a full hour and a half or like an hour. You can, if that's too much for you and that's going to keep you from going to the gym, you can just go and like walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes. If that's all you can do when you're building a habit, just go and do those things, and that will reward you. It might seem silly to drive all the way up for 10 minutes. I mean, I would challenge you to go for longer and try to do like a full workout if you can, or whatever you're trying to accomplish. But it is so important to get through that phase of building your process and building that habit that it is worth even doing just those small increments, so that you can just kind of go autopilot. It's like funny. I love the word autopilot. Here's a random thing. This is just like a Mark stem now. Like I'm just going down like random thought tracks. You ever play like Mario Kart? I feel like you definitely have. Obviously,
Oh, of
most people
course,
have,
yeah,
right?
of course, of course.
So like I have vivid memories of like playing Mario Kart and like going on like mental autopilot. Or like when I would play like Smash Bros with my friends growing up, like if you started losing, you'd be like, oh, my brain was on autopilot. Like I stopped thinking about it. Like I started thinking about something else and consciously my brain was elsewhere, but like subconsciously I was playing. It's like so weird. Like your brain just gets to like the point where you just subconsciously act on things. And I think there's also that's what I would do when I play Mario Kart, and I'd be like, "Whoa, I just got first place. Am I that good? I did this on autopilot." But there's also like a negative side of the autopilot too, right? Where like you pick up your phone and then you're doom scrolling for hours, But yeah, anyway, it's a double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it's so easy, and I think maybe that's what it is. Is that life is easy to put on autopilot now. I mean, you really don't have to do anything. So it's so challenging to be like, let's just do something new. And it's an uncomfortable feeling, because I love being home. I love watching Dragon Ball Z, and it's I need to be like, okay, we need to go do something else. And if you're the kind of person who doesn't do other things, it's like that resistance is going to feel so much stronger. And but yeah, you can make anything bite sized. Like my girlfriend, she switched to a new gym because hers closed. So it's down the street. So I go with her now. And I've probably spent like a good year and a half not going to the gym. I was just doing home workouts like maybe once or twice a week. And so when I went back to the gym with her, one, I make the joke that like going to the gym with her is like going with my older gym bro brother because she's like lifting crazy.
That's hilarious.
And I'm not, I'm 38. I have like a pre-existing bad back, and so I need to like be careful. I've hurt myself squatting before. So
Mm.
I'm in there doing like, I'm using 10-pound dumbbells doing like, I don't know, whatever, something like this, chest flies or or rows or something. And I think as a younger person, I'd be like, oh, the ego would get to me, like, oh, my girlfriend's lifting more, or I'm not lifting enough. I mean, I'm 5'5". I'm pretty petite. Like, how much do you really expect me to lift 6 foot plus people? What do you think that this tiny frame can handle? Anyway, that's beside the point. It's
That's
like,
funny.
but this is what I can do because a big part of working out for me is I don't want to be so sore that I can't go for a run. So if I'm going to go to
Mhm.
the gym 2-3 times a week, I need to do what makes sense for my body. And then I go there and then I do like kind of I'm not hitting any PRs or whatever. But after a while, you're like, okay, that wasn't so bad. And I can go a little heavier. But I think for a lot of people, their barrier to the gym, and I've just heard this anecdotally from other people or running too, is that I don't run anymore. But back when I did, I ran this much. Back when I was in the
Mhm.
gym, I was benching this. But now if I go back, I'm not at that level anymore, and that's why I don't want to go, is one of the excuses that I hear. And I think that's just, it's kind of like having a victim mentality about life. It's like, oh yeah, and I'm sure there's medical reasons, there's family reasons, there's a million reasons. You can come up with excuses all day, and I feel like that's a David Goggins thing too. There's a million excuses. But once you say, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym and give me those 5-pound dumbbells, baby. I'm doing shoulder presses all day. I'll do 100 of them. It doesn't matter. I just need to go do something that is hard for me, even if it's and not compare yourself to other people because comparison really is like the thief of joy. So yeah, I see you, Mark, specifically with your 315-pound bench or whatever. Yeah, I'm doing the bar and maybe I'll put 2 5s on there. If I'm really got a pump going, I don't care. So I think it's a good message for people to, it's like you're in your own league, like you're running your own race. This is your life. Do what you want with it, and whatever that bite size has to be to get you started, like do not be ashamed of that at all, because if I see somebody, it's their first day in the gym, right, and then a week later they're still there, you're like, okay, good for this guy, because you hate to
Yeah.
see someone show up and be like, oh yeah, I'm back at the gym. January, you know exactly what it's like.
Oh
January in the
yeah.
gym is the worst time to go because you see everybody there who's made like a New Year's resolution, and then a month later you don't see anybody in the gym, and it's sad, really, because I want all those people to stay, but you don't want to be one of those people that's like, oh yeah, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in the first month. And then 3 weeks later, you're like, forget this. It's heavy and my back hurts and I just want to eat
Yeah.
pizza.
Who doesn't want to eat pizza? And also, my back hurts too. I get it, but I mean, dude, yeah, you hit on so many good things there. Like, I mean, for starters, I think that it's so important to not compare yourself to other people, right? And there are a couple different angles to this, but like for one, you mentioned that you don't lift that much, and that's fine. You're a runner. You identify as more of a running person. You like to run. You said, I want to go lift. and I know it's good for me. I'm going to do these things, but I don't want to get to the point where I'm sore and then it messes up my runs. And I mean, dude, I'll tell you, that is something that I struggle with like literally every single day of my life because I am one of those people where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do my push pull leg split. I'm going to do a functional day. I'm also going to run like every single day. And I'm going to sign up for all these races. Oh, I should probably take a rest day somewhere. And then it's like I end up getting jumbled with like all these things. And then my body is just perpetually sore, which also is not great. And I can do a lot, I could do a better job of that. But anyway, there is such a thing as like having a passion for like one area of fitness. And like some people really love running, some people really love lifting, some people love kayaking. Shout out to the kayaking bros again. We still love you. Um, or whatever it is, pickleball, right? Like there is something, but as long as you're doing something that one makes you physically and mentally healthier, right? It brings some joy, makes you live longer. You're training your heart. Hopefully, you're training your muscles a little bit too. Um, and then I honestly don't remember what I was going to say for the second one. If I'm being completely honest with you, it has escaped me. But that is what's really important. Just as long as you're doing something that makes you feel better and gives you better results over a long period of time, I think is really important. So yeah, and I think a lot of it too comes down to like the whole discipline versus motivation thing, which we've kind of like teased a lot throughout this conversation, right? And I think a lot of times people rely on the motivation. And motivation, truthfully, it's good for like a quick burst. Like here's a fun little example. You ever like go on one of those like sit down lawnmowers and they have like a choke? You like pull the choke out and then it like releases extra gas and then like it just lets you start the engine. Like to me, and I was thinking about this earlier, of like how to best correlate this fun analogy. But like to me, motivation is like the choke, right? Like you pull the choke to get the engine started, and then you got to put the choke back in, or else like the thing is like, you're gonna catch on fire. Whatever it's like releasing all the fuel, not safe. Like abort, abort, abort. You can't rely on motivation forever. You can't rely on the choke forever. What you have to rely on once you get the engine started is the discipline, is the process, right? Oh yeah, I have to, cut this like specific line here, and I have to go back and cut this specific line there. Like, can't believe I'm talking about cutting the grass as a form of discipline versus motivation, but like it's real, right? Like you're not gonna cut the yard if you don't do it all. And that comes down to the discipline, that comes down to your process, that comes down to you not getting tired. But eventually, you build some habits, you get really good at like knowing how to like not leave, bad, ugly spots and maybe do some lawn care here and there. You mix in some of that, you shine your lawnmower. But, and the choke, you might have to rely on the choke every once in a while, but like that's cool. But you can't only rely on the choke. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that little lawnmower analogy.
No, I enjoyed it so much. The choke is such a good analogy because, yeah, getting started is the hardest thing, and whatever it takes you to get started, it just that's fine. It's you need so much. What is it? It's like a rocket ship. They need the most energy to get it 1 foot off the ground, right? And then as it starts to go up, it gets easier and easier. But yeah, no, you need to blow up a lot of fuel to just get yourself off the launch pad. And then you need still a lot to carry you through. I mean, it's just like action really is everything. And if you're a person is used to not taking a lot of actions, you need to start taking them. And then once you take them, that becomes another habit. Oh yeah, I'm a person who does this. I'm a person who says yes to these opportunities. Like, I do improv. So like the yes and is the number one rule in improv. It's like, you don't want to be the person who's always saying no to things because it's so easy to say no to something. Like the first race I signed up for, some guy at work is like, "Oh, do you want to do that?" And I could have been like, "No, I don't want to do that." And that would have been the truth. I
That
don't
would have
want to
been the
do
end
that.
of it.
That would have been the
And
end
then
of
you would
it.
have never known.
And then I would have never known. I could have just said no, and then I don't run, and blah 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 blah. Instead, I was like, I mean, at the time, my life was kind of not great, so I was like, I'll do anything at this point to try to
It's a
like
good mindset.
make a negative impact, or I mean, to make a positive impact. And then it leads to, it's just like saying yes to one thing. It just leads to, you never know what it could be. And all it takes is just a change in the way that you think about things and the way that you think about yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing that I want the Baldest to accomplish is that if you are feeling insecure in any way about doesn't really matter it is because for me and for my guests it's yeah we're losing our hair, but it's like what is it the thing that you're afraid of and how can we get past it, because once you do then sky's the limit for you, and let's get more people just enjoying their lives, because it's so easy to be like life sucks and there's wars going on and billionaires are doing all this stuff, and it's like yeah but what if you're accomplishing the things that you as an individual want to accomplish, and once you've accomplished a bunch of things you're going to set the bar higher and then you're going to keep building yourself up as a person, so then when you're 80 years old you look back and say oh my god I'm just filled with so many regrets. It's like yeah but I did this and I did this and I did this, and I mean of course you can never do everything, but you want to be laying in that deathbed looking up at your big wall full of medals and and say yeah man I did it, I got a shot at life and I lived it, because not everybody gets that chance.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, well said. But just kind of building on like the power to change and motivation. Like, if you need any motivation, like this podcast, the Steve Baldest and me and Mark being the guest today, like let this be your wake up call, man. Like, let this be your choke that like gives you the fuel you need to get the lawnmower started. But then, yo, we're not mowing the lawn for you. It's your lawn. It's your lawn. You got to do it yourself. I'm not going to do that for you, but I'll help you get started, I guess. You know. So, but I think like taking that first step, as you mentioned, is really important. I'm really frustrated. I can't remember what I was going to say. I really tipped my tongue.
No, you're good. I'm just going to read your mind because bald people can read each other's minds.
True.
It's you gotta the things that you believe about yourself end up being true. So if
Mm.
you are saying no to everything and you're like, nah, I can't do this and I can't do that, and this is for other people and all this stuff. But if you can just start changing the way that you think about yourself and think that you're capable of more, whether or not you have results right now is irrelevant. It's just like, I believe in myself and I'm going to go try to do things. And sometimes I'm going to fail, but that's okay. And then you're able to I think that's what a lot of people are kind of missing. Like a lot of people feel stuck. I had another guest who wrote a book, the power and the purpose in the pause. And it's like when you feel stuck in life, that's actually an important time, because feeling stuck is something that's not real. You're never stuck, you're always moving forward, but it's kind of the way that you look at it is what's going to allow you to make change in the future, because it's easy to be discouraged, but the things that you want, if you have dreams and goals, those are further away and you can't have them now. So you're going towards them if you want to be. Who knows how long it's going to take you to get there. But if you're going towards them, then you shouldn't feel bad about yourself at all. You are someone who's on their way to going somewhere. But if you're feeling truly stuck and you're not doing anything, you can stay there as long as you want. So but the good news is you can also start making progress whenever you want to. But like both of
Yeah.
those things are true, but you need to have that belief in yourself to start going after the things that you want, as hard as that sounds.
No, absolutely. And thank you because you did jog my memory. You're right. We can't actually speak to each other
Yeah.
telepathically, of course. So you mentioned something previously too about like, oh no, there's wars and there's billionaires and there's all these people and like I can't do anything. Like, dude, that is somewhat uncontrollable. I mean, there's a democratic process and all this stuff, whatever, but like you control your life and you should not let something that is mostly like say 99.999% out of your control. Like you cannot wake up one day and then stop all the wars in the world or stop world hunger. Maybe you can, and maybe that's your furthest mountain. And that would be sweet, dude. Like I would be super happy if you stop all the wars and world hunger. But like don't let those things that like you cannot control drag you down. And that's something that I also currently still struggle with. Like, I'll be honest, like I see a lot of headlines and news is usually negative because it gets the most clicks. And there's a lot of things going on. And sometimes it's hard to balance that. And sometimes it's easy to let yourself fall into this path where you're like, everything stinks, doesn't matter. Actually, it does matter because you control your life, you control your outcomes, you define how far you can go, how far you can see, and you don't want to let these external factors spoil that for you, right? Because if you do let them win, you're letting like the bad guys win, so to say. I'm saying you're the good guy, having a good life is a good thing. Bad guys are in this context, anything like external that you cannot control that is ruining you and taking away the opportunity from controlling your own life and owning your own destiny. Like don't let the quote unquote the bad guys win. Oh, it's thunderstorming outside. Like, yeah, I guess I can't go for the run today because it's thunderstorming or whatever it is. Like something like a silly example, but like no, I'm not gonna let the bad guys win. I'm gonna actually go for that run still. I don't really care. Like it's thunderstorming, whatever. And then you're gonna come back and be like, wow, I actually kind of kicked some butt right there, and like that was sweet. And then that is another cookie in your cookie jar. Like it's something simple, like, and that's maybe not like the biggest cookie in your life, but like the little cookies. You can have little cookies too, like the like mini Oreos or something. Like that's cool. You can have some mini Oreos of like this week I went on a run when I said I wasn't going to. And I was able to do that because of the way that I talked to myself and the way that I didn't want to let some external thing control my life and my outcomes and all that process of just continuously talking to yourself and choosing to see the good in things. Man, I want to go down that rabbit hole too quickly. That is such a important thing just for general life satisfaction. I know we've been talking a lot about like achievement, like you do this race, you do this thing, you have this product. Those are all great. And a lot of times, and when you see success or you see achievement, like that internally makes you happier because you feel validated after putting on all this hard work. It's kind of like that type 2 fun. Like, you go through the trouble of training and then doing this hard race, and then you're like, you know what? That was hard, but now I feel really great. Well, I think like the most important thing, and again, this is something else I'm still working through myself, is like just choosing to see the good in every situation, every person, being blessed to be alive every single day. Like if we throw it back to like the intro when I talked about, World War One, we went in the trenches, people had trench foot, and like, you didn't know if you were gonna live or die like, the next day. Like we are so blessed every single day to be able to even go outside and have the opportunity to go for a run. There are people that maybe some people listening are, they live in a wheelchair or they rely on a wheelchair rather. And that's real for people. Like maybe you're blessed to have legs. Maybe someone else is blessed to have hair and you're bald. Like everybody has their own thing. Like I'm super allergic to nuts. Like I carry an EpiPen. Like that's real cool. Like that's my weakness. That's my kryptonite. I can be defeated by a peanut. Now you know. Don't use it against me, please. But like, dude, like don't let those things ruin you. Like just because you have something like that or you let something else external, um, don't let it control you and just choose to see the light in everything. And I promise you, like if you can get to a point where you choose to see the light like that in every person you meet. I mean, yeah, there's some sus people out there. You got to be a little skeptical. I'm not saying like blindly trust random people. Yeah, here's $1,000. Like, go nuts, dude. It's like I don't do
I
that. But
like
like,
that guy that randomly gives me $1,000. I
yeah,
want to be his friend.
that would be crazy, right? You might get taken advantage of. You're way too nice. But like, I think it's just so important to choose to see like I've said that a couple times now, but choose to see the good in everyone and bring the best version of yourself every single day. And sometimes there's people too that you interact with that maybe you're having like a bad day, something negative happened to them, and you know they might want to like offload some of that negative energy on you, dump their garbage on you, like maybe you were driving and like some jerk cut you off on the road and you like got really mad and you honked on your horn and maybe you flipped them off or you said some bad stuff you shouldn't have. Like, those are things like, yeah, like, I struggle with that sometimes too. I've gotten a lot better over the last few years, but like, don't let like instances like that kind of take away from what you're doing. And when you do interact with certain people that maybe are feeling a little bit down on the day and you can kind of just tell, don't just ignore them or whatever. Like bring a smile. Not to be like, what's wrong? And like be all investigative about it. And then maybe they'll be like, oh no. But like, try to make them laugh or like bring a smile and like stuff like that, I think just goes such a long way. And when you make other people smile, it'll make you smile too. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, that's just it's like you got to choose who you want to be. And you got to if you want to show up as a happy person, it takes a lot of effort. Like last night I was just very tired. I told you there was another impromptu concert that I went to last night, and it was not I I could have been like, "No, I don't want to go, like forget it." But afterwards, I was like, "Man, I am very tired and I am not in a good mental space anymore." And for me, when I'm in that kind of mode, it's very difficult to get pulled out of it because you're like, "Man, everything sucks right now and I don't get to do this or whatever." Like it's so easy to have a pity party for yourself. So I don't I understand people doing it and I understand like, yeah, someone cuts you off, it's really gonna frustrate you. But I mean, I think one thing that you said earlier, just looking at your life in a holistic way, it's just, I feel like gratitude is one of the most like overused words on social media, but it just is, like if you're grateful, it helps your perspective helps your mindset, and it just is what it is. Like I've been journaling ever since I started the podcast. And this is something that I feel like when I tell people this, they're like, don't do that. But I do it anyway. I don't care if this is going to backfire in the year 2035 or whatever, is that I journal with AI. So I'm not like AI fix all my problems. I'm like, I'm just recording what's going on with me. Let me know if you see any patterns or through lines or anything. And also, at the end of the week, I want to be able to look back at what I've accomplished this week. So then I can go back to the cookie jar when I need to and say, I didn't get a lot done this week or whatever. And it's like, actually, you did this and you did this and this happened and this person reached out to you and then you did this other thing. And then you've made these improvements. So it's like all of these cliches, all of these self-help cliches just end up being more and more true, that what goes on inside your mind has so much of an impact on what happens in the world around you, that it would benefit anyone who's not doing it to just you kind of gotta go through it, go through your closet, like David Goggins would say, and say, okay, what's my whole thing? And if you can look at yourself with as much perspective as possible in a loving way and say, I have these deficiencies, this area I'm not happy with. When I grew up, here's the childhood trauma that I experienced. Here's the problem in my relationship or the relationships I don't have, and you just zoom out all the way and you just say, okay, I'm just going to love this form of existence that I can have an impact on. And what does that look like? And what are all these little things I can do? And then you just slowly start to just put your house in order internally and physically as well. And then it's like you could do literally anything. And that's what, not to compare yourself to other people, but the most successful people that you see, they've probably done that. Like it's very rare that someone's just like, "Oh, I'm just a massive celebrity millionaire. Look at this." It's like that, no one wants to be David Goggins when he's running in the desert like and he's like peeing blood on himself or whatever. But he did that. He really
Yeah.
did that. And then but everybody's like, oh, David Goggins, he's a successful author and motivational speaker. And it's like, yeah, but he had to go run in the desert until he peed blood. So everybody looks at the end result, but it really is just built up in all these little things. Because for him, that was just one race that he did out of a million, but that was a
Oh yeah.
formative moment in his life to say, well, this is how we got here. We went from 300 pounds and now we're in a desert running ourselves to death.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, I guess kind of the point of that too, just to kind of round it out, is like no matter where you are today, Like you could be like the 300-pound David Goggins. And it's so easy, as you said, Steve, to just like kind of wallow in your own pity and woe is me, all that. But I think it's so important to recognize that, you don't have to solve everything at once, right? You don't have to go out and run in the desert until you pee blood. I mean, that is kind of sick. I'm not gonna lie. Big fan of David Goggins. I
Oh my
would be
God.
out there
So
doing that,
sick.
but I'm maybe a psychopath.
Yeah. Dude's crazy.
But like, dude, like just take that first step, right? Start with the walking, start with whatever. It doesn't have to be fitness related, but like, don't ever sell yourself short. And also such a simple quote. I don't even know. This might be a Mark Stefanik original, or maybe I heard it somewhere. But like, dude, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you. That is like so, so true. And it's just such a simple thing, but think about it. Like, if you carry yourself every single day and you're like all looking down and you're like, look all sad and, you just don't really carry yourself confidently. You're not really doing anything. You're sleeping all the time. You're not making your bed. you know, you're eating DoorDash every single night. Like, whatever DoorDash is convenient. I'm not hating on DoorDash. DoorDash, don't sue me for that statement. But if you get to the point where you're using a lot of these habits in a negative light, like the subconscious negative habits, and you're not doing these things of like I'm rolling out of bed, I'm not making my bed, right? Or I am like binge drinking alcohol like every single night. Like there's a lot of different avenues, a lot of different things that it can be. But just recognize that because you're there now does not mean you're stuck there forever. That is something that I think a lot of people sometimes need to hear. And everybody starts somewhere. You don't have to do everything at once. So also, Steve, I'm interested in the journaling with the AI. That was a very interesting point. I've never heard of somebody journaling and then asking AI to like, identify trends and stuff. That's actually pretty cool. However, it does make me also worry about like big AI data being like, oh, we know everything about Steve there is. Thank you, Steve, for the intelligence.
They're gonna be like, this guy talks about his podcast a lot. That's all they're gonna
That's so
say.
fun.
But I mean, I can't recommend it enough, and I feel like no one wants to hear it because I did for a couple years. I did like the old fashioned journaling, either in an actual journal or I did like an app on my phone, and I think that's perfectly valid. I'm with you, but my thing is, I never went back until like months later to look at my journal,
Yeah.
or maybe years. So with the AI, it's like it's constantly keeping track of everything that I'm saying. And then it'll be like, oh, but do you remember a few months ago when you said this? Like the AI acts as the
Wow.
cookie jar for me. So as someone who's never started a podcast before, it's easy for me to have imposter syndrome. It's easy for me to be like, no one's going to like this. I'll never be able to get Mark on my podcast. That's
Oh,
too
dude,
much.
come on.
Right. So it's, it's so easy in a day to be, and maybe as a content creator, you can relate to this. Man, I put so much into that video and it did dog shit.
Oh, yeah.
Or man, people are like leaving negative comments on this one, or like, man, my growth, my YouTube subscribers suck. That's a big one for me. The AI has to hear all about that. My YouTube, so subscribe to the podcast if you're listening, if you made it this far. So it's so easy for me, at least in my head. And I think this comes from a little bit of my family. I feel like my dad's this way too. It's so easy to be hard on myself and to be negative about myself and put all these limiting beliefs. And the AI does a good job of saying, yeah, but like here's the truth, I mean, whatever the AI considers to be the truth. The AI doesn't lie to me and say, what are you talking about? You're amazing. It's like, yeah, but you said this on that day and then this happened. You say this all the time, but you don't want to think that because you've also told me, and now I'm going to talk to the AI. I'm going to talk about the AI like it's a person. You've also told me that you don't want to do this, and now you're doing this, so stop doing that. And it's like, yeah, that's right. I don't want to do that, or I don't want to believe that about myself. And
Wow.
at the end of the week, I can say, and I actually, honestly, I haven't done this in a while. At the end of the week, been like, what did I accomplish this week? Because now I'm paying attention to the things that I accomplished in the week. And I'm like, yeah, damn, I did this. Like on Sunday, I edited a podcast on a road trip to Wisconsin using my phone as the Wi-Fi and published it that night. I was like, that really happened, and only nerd podcasters like me would appreciate that. But it's like it's looking at, like I said, having that perspective. The AI has a better perspective on me than I do. Let's just say it, right? I'm biased in my opinion. The AI, well, maybe it loves me a little bit in a familial way now. It's much less biased than I am, at least. It's at least an outside observer to where here's where I put my thoughts on the shelf, because I'll put it all out there. And then it can sort of look at it and act as I don't want to say like a therapist, because I mean, therapists are great. I highly recommend them. But it can be like a little mini thing to just say, here's where all my thoughts go. What do you think? And then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, this seems to be a recurring theme. And this is actually, but you want to get here. You want to be on another level. So how are we going to get there versus let's just sulk in a pity party and I suck all the time?
Yeah, I mean that's excellent. It's a tool for you. I mean, it helps you kind of identify those trends. I love that it like kind of is a forced accountability mechanism, right? That was kind of cool where you're like, oh well, you said this last week and now you're saying this. Like which is it? And like to your point, like I mean I haven't like actually like journaled, but like I used to in college I would carry around like a planner to like keep track of my assignments and stuff. But I would often find myself like writing things in there. A lot of times it was like quotes or like things that I thought were really, really important that like I wanted to like live by. Like I had like a section that was just like life principles, and I'd like write stuff down there, and I'd always reference it. And like every like few weeks or like a month, I'd be like, that was important enough to add to this section, and I would do it. But like, but I to your point, like I would also never like go back and reread like stuff I was doing. Maybe like a year or two later, like I'd pick up my old planner. What was I thinking about in 2018 or whatever? Um, but I think it's cool and it's important to be able to journal and write down some of those thoughts and to be able to express yourself. Especially it's interesting with the AI or just really any third party to give yourself kind of that honest perspective because you're right, we all are biased, we all whether we recognize it or not, we probably all think we're like the coolest or the best at some specific thing. We're all a little biased towards ourselves. It's just real. So I think to really be productive, it is healthy to vet some of those things with trusted third parties, as well as just to write things down. Like if there's something that's bothering you, like journaling is fantastic, and I should get back to having like my planner and also like doing some journaling. That's something that I've tried to force myself into. A lot of times I'll do this thing where I like force myself into action by like either buying something. In this case, I bought like a planner slash journal thing and I used it for like a week or two. I failed to build a habit. Been the first to admit it. I failed to build a habit, but I can still pick that back up. Um, Another fun quote I'm going to sprinkle in: "You only ever lose when you give up, like officially." So it's okay to be like to not succeed on creating the habit the first try, right? But you can always try again. You only ever lose when you like officially give up. You're like, I'm done. I'm never using a journal ever again. And then, okay, well, maybe you lost that one, or I'm never going to the gym ever again. But you can still choose to go back to it and try that. So I think that's an important thing too. Like, and that kind of gets into something you were saying earlier about like, I used to bench, this crazy amount of weight, but now I don't, I can't go back in there. Like I'm going to be so weak. Like, all right, well, like, why are you applying these like constraints to yourself? Right. It's like you haven't actually lost, like if you, maybe you've given up, but like, I mean, I don't know, you can go back and start over or whatever. Right? You kind of get what I'm trying to say. I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's the limiting beliefs are what's killing you. And that's why I talk to the AI, because it's like I don't want to, ever since I read The Big Leap, I don't want to put limiting beliefs on myself. I see people operate from a scarcity mindset, and the more that I pay attention to it, the more I will, one, try to avoid it, and the more I don't like it for me, because like when so I got laid off from my job in June, beginning of June.
Mhm.
So we had months to look for a new job or whatever before we got laid off. So many people would come up to me that were either going to get laid off or weren't and be like, what are you going to do after this? Do you have something else lined up? What are you going to do? And I got so tired of that question, but it was so satisfying because this is when I came up with the idea for the podcast. I was like, I'm just going to do a podcast. And people are like, yeah, but like, what are you really going to do? Like for a job? And I'm like, I just told you, podcast, like I don't, if I think that I can't do this, then I won't do this and I can't do this. But
Hmm.
if I have the belief in myself that there's enough in me to do this as a job, then, well, why can't I do it? Of course I can do it. It's just, I don't know how many years it'll take, but I do know you at least have to make a couple episodes to even be in the conversation about, oh, this is what I could actually do. So I've I really don't like limiting beliefs anymore because limiting beliefs aren't the truth. And I'm a Sagittarius. I don't know about you, but to me, the truth is everything. And the just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Right? So I can say something aspirationally and say this will become the truth and not just like, oh yeah, I want to be really successful. It's like, well, I'm doing every damn thing I can to be successful and I believe that it's going to happen. So when you pair those things together, it's like it's just a matter of time. If I want to run an ultra marathon, well, I got to start with the 5K, right?
Yep.
But you need to be, your body and your mind need to be in agreement, and in order for you to get anywhere you want to go in life, if you want to move up in your career, you want to find a partner, you want to have a family, you want to do anything, you need to have that belief. So I just want to remove as many limiting mindsets as possible. Too much, I don't even want to say them out loud, because it's
Yeah.
like once someone puts a seed of doubt in you, then that seed is still there, and it can grab you and say, no, you're right. Like, my dad wanted to be a famous podcaster and he died in the gutter or whatever. It's never going to happen. So
That's a rough
it's
death.
yeah, it's you just gotta believe in yourself, and in order to get the things you want. And I think that comes from starting with, there's an abundance, because if you don't have enough, it's like another pain point for you. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough influence. I don't have the skills that I need to do the things that I want to do. And it's like, but you will. You just need to get the skills, make the time. You'll get the money. You'll do the thing that you want to do. It's like, just, you can't sit here and say, I want this, this, and this out of life, and I feel like life owes me. It's like, no, I need to get out there and I need to do everything I can to get where I want to be, because one thing I don't have an unlimited amount of is time.
That was a bar, my friend. You paused there dramatically, and I was like, he's going to say time, isn't he? And I was like, oh, that was good. That was really
Oh,
good. That was really, really good.
oh
And
my
I
God,
even
you're the
I
best
love
guest.
the gutter comment too. That was just funny.
My
Like,
dad
who
has not
dies in a
died in
gutter?
the gutter as a failed podcaster. That's not true. But my dad does want to start his own podcast, and he's working on it. So
Really? Well, look at you, man. Inspiring.
he really does. So I'll take all the credit for it. But he can't be on the show because his hair's too good.
Maybe he'll shave his head in solidarity and join as a fun guest. That would be kind of fun.
Maybe. If he wants to, I'm open to it.
No, that's awesome though. But I mean, yeah, I guess two things stuck out to me with that. One is like, and you kind of alluded to this earlier too, but like you can make a million excuses under the sun, man. But like all those excuses are invalid. There is, as long as you have the drive, um, you can make anything happen, right? And it all comes down to that self-talk, all those amazing things we've been talking about throughout the whole podcast, all those amazing themes bundled up into, you can't keep making excuses for yourself. You got to believe in yourself. The other thing too, um, was about being able to take risks. So professionally, I'm a risk manager. That is what I do. That is what I majored in school. I was a risk management guy. And naturally, when people think about risk management, they're like, risks equals bad, run away, fast. Like, actually, no, that's not true at all. Risks are also opportunities. So, like in your case, Steve, like you are taking a chance on yourself. You are believing in yourself. You're doing all the right things, and you are choosing to take that risk to start a podcast, which is very amazing and that's very noble. And I'm doing something similar too, because again, like when you think about like the 80-year-old self, if Steve wants to start a podcast and he doesn't even try because he's scared of taking the risk, like, I mean, you're probably going to look back and be like, well, that was dumb. Like, even if it doesn't work out and you're not the next Joe Rogan, like, you at least try. And that's what I'm thinking through right now with myself. Like, I'm starting an online coaching business. That's something I've thought about for a long time. Like, I should probably do this. I don't know. Maybe am I that guy? Am I not that guy? You get the kind of the imposter syndrome, like you said. Like, am I a podcast guy? I don't know. But you still believe in yourself, and you take that first step, and then like we said, once you go as far as you can, then you can see further. You step out of your comfort zone, then you can see the next kind of mountain, right? So I'm going through something similar, that I'm taking that risk myself. And I still have to go and get my certification. I have to do all these things, but like it comes down to seeing those things and recognizing that yes, there's some risks attached to it, but like at the end of the day, like you are worth taking a risk on, right? Yourself. You should be willing to risk some time, maybe risk some money, like things like that are tangible. Like, when I say time, I don't mean like wasting your time. And like, it's taking like an hour out of your day to work towards achieving that goal or whatever it is. But you should be willing to take those chances, take those risks, grab life by the horns, punch it in the face, go back, start doing some cool stuff, whatever. But you shouldn't be afraid to do that, man. It's your life, and if you don't take those risks, then you're probably never going to actually really end up in the place that you ultimately want to. So at least if you take the risk and it doesn't work out and you give it the best that you can, well, it wasn't meant to be, right? And you still choose to have that glass half full mindset. I tried it. I learned new things. It brought me to this other avenue, right? I mean, I've done a million things in my life that didn't work out for me, and that's fine. And I've learned things from all of them, and you walk away a better person. The only time I would say that you leave a worse person is if you don't even do them to begin with, right? If you have the urge to do something, you feel like you're pulled in this direction to try it and go for it, and you say, "Nah, I'm good." Maybe you leave, maybe not a worse person, but like the exact same person. And to me, like that's scary. There was actually I forget where I've seen it, but there was maybe like one of my friends actually. He's also like a famous influencer guy. He has a full head of hair though. Jerk. No shame to all you full haired guys out there. But what I was gonna say is he always goes back and says, I am a year. If I start over for a second, if I look back at myself from where I was a year ago, and I am the exact same person, and I did not make progress, then that's a problem, right? Like I want to continuously be on this path forward where if I'm not making progress over a year, then that's an issue, right? So I want to be always improving, and that's good. Like that's good to be better than you were last year, right? You shouldn't be like I was so bad last year, like whatever. Like no, you were still good, but you're always going up. You always are trending up. So that's an important thing I think to always consider.
Yeah, for sure. Mark, we eventually have to end this episode. You're gonna have to
Oh
come back.
yes,
I don't think I've asked
absolutely.
you any questions that I had written down, and I don't care because we'll save it for another episode, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I've been excited to talk to you for so long, and I was you've delivered as an excellent podcast guest.
Oh, I appreciate it, Steve. I really do, and it's been an honor to be able to join you. I've been looking forward to this too. I've been kindly and nicely admiring the Baldest podcast from afar, and now it's great to finally put a face to the name, a bald, handsome face. I'm definitely excited to potentially come back in the future. So anytime you're willing to have me, let me know. All the listeners out there, I wish you the best. You can follow me on Instagram. Is that cool if I plug my Instagram handle?
Oh, you literally. I told you the balds are telepathic because I was going to be like, well, let's plug all your stuff, Mark. Where can people find you? Because I mean, if you've made it this far in the episode, I don't know. Well, I must have failed you in the intro, but yeah, Mark is a content creator and he makes. You describe it to the audience because I feel like I won't even do it justice.
Well, yeah, I'll give you the quick version, but I talk about all things mindset. So if you probably picked up, a lot of the themes throughout this are just mindset, how you talk to yourself, how you can use that, your habits, and achieve the outcomes that you want. For me, that's a lot of fitness related things. So like I said, I've done ultra marathons, I've benched 315 plus, which is very cool. But yeah, if you're just generally in the camp of I want to become the best version of myself, and you like some lighthearted content, I do throw a lot of memes on my posts because it's fun. Give me a follow. I'm at Stefanik Lifts. I may rebrand slightly to just at Mark Stofanak, which is my full name. But either way, if you just type in Mark Stefanik, you can find me. So I'd appreciate any follows.
Yeah, man. I hope everybody who watches this or watches any of the clips, they'll follow you. And yeah, you'll have to come back another time, and I'll ask you some of the questions that I meant to ask you. And instead of gushing about how happy I am to be your friend now, and just talking about running in David Goggins like two nerds.
Hey man, there's nothing wrong with that. All righty, Steve. Well, I appreciate it much, brother. I thank you again for having me on, and thank you all for listening. And I'll let you close out.
All right. Well, thanks, man. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. And thank you, Mark, for coming on the show. That ended up being the longest podcast in the Baldest short history. And I enjoyed every minute of it. If you'd like to follow Mark and check out some of his stuff, I'll leave links in the description for all of his social media. He shares a lot of thoughtful content about mindset, fitness, personal growth. So definitely go check him out. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed wherever you are listening. Every subscription helps more people discover the Baldest and helps us continue sharing stories from the bald community. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, let your head shine and your mind will follow. This is the Baldest.